Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw his family. I was really pissed because he lied to me. Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. You know that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
John Bryant.
Good morning, Owasso. This is Chad with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. Yes, James O'Keefe has done it again. He has literally figured out more regarding the Jeffrey Epstein files than Pam Bondi and Kash Patel right now, which is why I think since this dropped, why we saw Kash Patel and Pam Bondi saying that, hey, we're getting ready to drop a bunch of videos right now, because that got posted yesterday. And then this also got posted yesterday. So I think they caught wind of this and was like, hey, we're going to release a bunch of other stuff after James O'Keefe had just done this. So I just find that to be absolutely hilarious at this point, that James O'Keefe and independent media sources from the internet, basically, that all the left wing hates, have done more to discover what's going on behind the Epstein files than the government and actual federal officers and law enforcement officers. So kind of sticking with the theme of protecting children for this week, besides yesterday's show where we talked about that things popping off between India and Pakistan. But we're just going to kind of just fall right into this right now with James O'Keefe. I'm just going to let him kind of take it from here, and I'll just kind of put my 2 cents in on it every once in a while. So here we go.
Ryan has been a close confidant to the British royal family for a long time. He worked for Queen Elizabeth II, was, quote, best friends with Princess Diana, and had a long-term intimate relationship with the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson. According to Brian, he practically raised Sarah Ferguson's children, the princesses Beatrice and Eugene. And Brian said that he maintained a friendship with Ferguson's husband, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew.
Tell me, like, your story.
So my story, you want me to know my story?
What?
Like, I've been so famous at times when I was on the front page of every newspaper in the planet because I was working with the Queen of England.
Okay.
You know, she was Queen Elizabeth.
Why are these dudes, that's the one thing I always find, why are these dudes always like single and like not married and going out to date like these young women to put into these situations to where they're dating these young women that James O'Keefe sends as undercover investigators? It's like, why do these dudes not have families and kids of their own? Maybe they do, maybe he does, but it's just so weird that these dudes are always like divorced. And like, but I think when you work in areas where you're just constantly keeping secrets like that all the time, like, it's not a healthy relationship environment.
I was working with all the families. Princess Diana was one of my best friends. And I met Duchess of York.
Okay.
That's Prince Andrew's wife. They were separated. And then Sarah and I sort of fell in love. And we lived together for like 7 years, 6 or 7 years, in my house in England. And I raised their 2 little children. They're so cute.
Wait, her kids?
Beatrice and Eugenie. Those were my children.
That's
Those were
insane.
my kids. I raised those kids.
That's crazy.
Day to day raised. I was father to those kids.
Prince Andrew's connection to Jeffrey Epstein emerged
Uh-oh. What's going on here?
emerged in 2010 when photos showed them walking together.
Weird that he's proud of raising other men's children. It's a little just strange that he seems a little too overly proud of that. Where are your own kids, bro? I get that they're royalty and all, but I guess that means more to, like, I guess British folks, but like, who gives a crap?
in New York's
And we stopped giving crap what the English crown thought in 1776.
Central Park. Epstein had already been convicted in 2008 of procuring a 14-year-old girl for prostitution. In 2014, a woman named Virginia Giuffre alleged in a Florida court filing that Jeffrey Epstein paid her to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17, a minor. On April 25th, a few weeks ago, Giuffre died by, quote, suicide. Prince Andrew denied Giuffre's sex abuse allegations in a now infamous 2019 BBC interview.
She said she had sex with you 3 times, once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
No.
No to all of it?
All of it. Absolutely no to all of it.
The interview was a public relations disaster for the royal family and prompted the Queen to strip Prince Andrew of his royal duties. In the aftermath of that interview, the prince sought advice from a longtime royal family confidant, John Bryan.
Wait, so you were not friends with Prince Andrew?
Oh, very good. Oh, no, we were very civilized. We'd go have dinner at his house. We'd have dinner at my house to see his kids. So then, we'd go on a holiday in the south of France. And I get a big property, like 10 acres,
Okay.
right near f***ing Saint-Tropez, right? You know, nobody has 10 acres. I'm on the biggest f***ing property, beautiful house.
Okay.
And I rent it so that we have privacy, right? Because the paparazzi are everywhere. There's hundreds
Okay.
of paparazzi, not 10, not 20,
Okay.
hundreds. I know.
And this is already when Prince Andrew
Yes, Prince Andrew.
doing his own thing?
Yeah, he's on the f***ing, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. Never saw his kid.
2 weeks after Prince Andrew's BBC interview, John Bryan was brought to the Royal Lodge where Prince Andrew lives to offer crisis management advice. According to The Telegraph, the meeting was conducted discreetly. At the royal residence, Bryan observed that Prince Andrew was visibly distressed and struggling to focus, reportedly unable to concentrate for more than 40 minutes at a time due to the strain he was under. As reported in the Daily Mail, John Bryan constructed a 5-page document emphasizing that Prince Andrew should publicly show empathy for Epstein's victims. Back in November 2022, Bryan publicly stated that he believed Prince Andrew was innocent of the claims made against him related to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking scheme. Now, in our exclusive hidden camera undercover footage, John Bryan reveals for the first time that Prince Andrew did in fact have sex with underage girls.
Was he already even like involved with like
Of course, other girls. I was so pissed about that. I was really pissed. I was really pissed because he lied to me about it.
lied about
Epstein. Yeah. No, I knew he saw him, but he lied to me that he was such a close friend. I was so pissed. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew, and then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls.
Now, our newsroom has some concerns about where this investigation is headed and who may be implicated. But our only motivation in doing these stories is the public's right to know. And if this report and our subsequent reports shine a light into darkness and expose evil, then we are willing to take the risks. At the end of the day, child victims of Jeffrey Epstein need to be protected, and the people involved need to be held accountable by law enforcement immediately. Without accountability, our notion of freedom is just an illusion. We're going to be breaking our next stories exclusively at O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. You may see this Project Veritas sign behind me. Stay tuned for next week.
Well, he was pissed, huh? Well, obviously not pissed enough to tell the truth, to come out and tell the truth that the Prince Andrew was having relations with underage girls. So, hilarious. Hilarious, this guy's, oh, I was so pissed. I wrote an article about it in the Daily Mail that he was the most truthful person I know. Like, yeah, so you were paid to lie, man. That's what all this is people get paid to lie for rich people. But, and if you remember, like, him kind of there at the end talking about Project Veritas, like, Project Veritas, he was a nonprofit organization that he started. That was his first organization that James O'Keefe started, Project Veritas. Well, I guess sounds like he's getting the Project Veritas name back, because he was kicked off by a board of directors that said that made a bunch of wild accusations that made no sense. Like, all of them were debunked, and like all his staff, like pretty much all his staff left with him, besides a few outliers that followed him to start his new company, O'Keefe Media Group, or OMG. So I would say that he's getting his Project Veritas name back. So it'd be funny to see what happens with that. But he has the article right here. But I mean, we pretty much just went over everything. Is like, we finding out that all this stuff's true. And like, this is why Democrats are also trying to get rid of consent, like one party making it to where every state's like a one party consent state, to where you can't video somebody without both parties' consent. Or yeah. So interesting that Democrats are always trying to make it to where you can't do undercover journalism. And this is actual news journalism, what undercover journalism is supposed to be. But the mainstream media doesn't do that anymore. They just write hit piece articles all the time now. Everything is just gotcha articles, or quoting an article that another media company wrote, and they just continue to cite each other, and they're each other's sources. So there is no source, like with the Trump dossier. Like the Trump Steele dossier. That's all it was media groups citing each other, saying, according to this, well, it turns out that the credibility source the secret source that they had there was no source. But they're quoting the New York Times says, and then the New York Times quotes, well, CNN says, and that's what's been going on lately. There is no real journalism anymore in the mainstream media. James O'Keefe is the only person that's doing actual undercover journalism nowadays. But that's what I just wanted to talk about with that. And like, I do have some of these videos pulled up here regarding the Virginia Woolf, or whatever her name is, the Epstein one that actually was accused of this, or she passed away. And like, yes, she has passed away. So I just wanted to remind everybody that, yeah, there's some suspicious circumstances surrounding her death. Yeah, Prince Andrew seen for the first time since Virginia Goffrey's suicide. Then this one.
Prince Andrew is accused of Virginia Giuffre, who was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, has shared some devastating news from hospital. The 41-year-old posted a photo saying she's been given just 4 days to live after a serious car accident in Perth. In her social media post, she begged to see her children one last time and said she's suffering from kidney failure. Prince Andrew is accused of Virginia Giuffre.
Yeah, and her father is saying that there's no way she committed suicide. So they say it's been ruled a suicide, but we don't really know what's going on. She clearly had a bunch of mental issues from being trafficked as a girl underage, but there's definitely a lot of suspicion raised around her death. So it's just suspicious in all this timing that all this stuff's just happening. So, I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but there's a lot of weird stuff just going on around this. All these cases all the time. It's always super, super strange stuff. All right. Well, we'll get to some more interesting news, like also kind of regarding like trafficking victims and people who are doing things against their will. The ex-porn star who shot up Trump's resort and claimed to be a Diddy sex slave signed an NDA with the rapper in exchange for $5 million, bombshell report. And this is from the New York Post. So, the former porn star allegedly shot up one of Trump's Florida resorts. Let me get rid of this video. Before claiming to have been Sean Diddy Combs' sex slave, had signed an NDA with the disgraced rapper, according to a report on Wednesday. Jonathan Odie was arrested in 2018 after he was reportedly caught on camera carrying a U.S. flag and ranting about the president as he stormed into the lobby of the National Doral Golf Club before getting into a shootout with the cops. Following his arrest, Odie made a series of claims to the police, including that he had been kept as a sex slave by Combs. Previously released video shows from the interview. I had sex with Cassie Ventura, Sean Combs. Basically, he would pleasure himself and tell me what to do with Cassie. I was like a sex slave for them. That's what I was, Odie said. A picture of an NDA allegedly signed by Odie and Combs in Miami in 2014 emerged Wednesday, seemingly backing up the former porn star's ties with the rapper, who is facing trials for alleged sex abuse and trafficking. Odie said that he agreed to the NDA in exchange for $5 million, and it was signed around the same time as his divorce with his wife, attorney Tonya Troutwine. She told the Daily Mail, which first published the document. The date of the contract was around the same time as our divorce. I almost felt like he divorced me because he came to all this money. He came into all this money, and I wouldn't claim it, Troutwine said. But our lives were already going through a different path. I started to feel like a third wheel in someone else's life rather than a wife, she added. Odie started to change after the moving from the job as a stripper at a bachelorette party to becoming a porn star, Troutwine said. He met Diddy around this time at a party and an ultra-exclusive star in Miami Beach, Troutwine believes. As Odie spent less time with his wife, she believes he started partying more with Combs and Ventura. Diddy just had those radiating personalities, and I can tell that he was enjoying the attention, you know. He likes to be the king. Johnny would have played perfectly into that, she said. Troutwine decided to get out of the marriage after discovering Odie was having an affair with a fellow porn star, she said. They filed for divorce on August 2014, when they were still on good terms. He kept insisting that we signed divorce paperwork, which I thought was very odd that he wanted to get things going so quickly, Troutwine said. It was only later that I found out he had signed this agreement. Odie claimed that he was making just $2,000 a month as a fitness trainer and had a net worth of negative $1,800 in the divorce documents. Despite that, he went on the spending spree less than a month after the divorce finalized, buying 5 distressed properties for $765,000 in the space of 2 months, NBC Miami reported, citing Miami-Dade County property records. All of these properties were purchased mortgage-free, suggesting that they were bought with cash. This would have been around the same time he allegedly received $5 million windfall from Diddy. Troutwine lost contact with Odie until she heard about his traumatic shootout with the cops in May of 2018. After carrying an American flag into the golf court resort lobby, Odie began a shootout, shouting about Trump before allegedly shooting at officers who shot at him in the legs before arresting him, investigators said. He faces charges of attempted murder of law enforcement officers, armed burglary, and armed grand theft, and is still in a Florida jail awaiting trial. Odie's apparent breakdown came just months before Cassie Ventura ended her relationship with Combs for good. Troutwine pointed out, I don't think it's a coincidence. So if any of this is true, P. Diddy's abused Cassie or was being aggressive, Johnny definitely would have softened that situation and would have tolerated the abuse instead. He would have tried to help the situation and not make Cassie feel bad about it, Troutwine said. She said that she had spoken to her ex-husband since his arrest and that he heard his interrogation video with the police had resurfaced in the wake of the damaging allegations against Combs. Wow. That's a lot. That is a lot to go through. And that there's actually substantial evidence behind all this. Ventura accused Combs of drugging and raping her and beating her during their on and off relationship spanning 10 years in their civil lawsuit filed against the Bad Boy record mogul in November 2023. Combs allegedly forced Miss Ventura to engage in acts with male sex workers and pleasured himself in filming the encounters and compliment states matching some claims made by Odie. His sacred, I will expose him. He's scared and I will expose him, Odie said. Combs in his police interrogation. My settlement put me in a box. Basically, I couldn't talk about what I was going to be sued. They kept following me. It isn't known who they is, OD was referring to. Combs is allegedly having forced his victims to go into freak-offs, days-long orgies involving male sex workers, federal prosecutors, and spreading indictments filed in April. Sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos that he filmed of his victims engaging in the acts and commercial sex workers. Prosecutors wrote that the criminal complaints after freak-offs, Combs and his victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Good God almighty. Combs has pleaded not guilty and denied all allegations against him. He appeared in a Manhattan court this week for jury selection in his criminal case where Ventura is expected to testify against him next month. Reps for the rapper did not immediately respond to request for comment on the NDA, reported Wednesday. Yeah, I wouldn't want to talk about that either. Good Lord. Anyway, so let's see here. So all this stuff, the two biggest traffickers and human sex traffickers known to man, Diddy and Epstein, are just having all this weird stuff just come out about them, and we're supposed to just assume that all this is not connected. It's absolutely crazy. It is absolutely crazy that all this stuff is coming out, and it all seems to have legitimate evidence to be backed up behind it. Insane. Absolutely insane. But let's get to just some memes. We'll see if we can get the ones that are completely related to this. All right. Let's do this one first. In Germany, Afghans and Africans are proportionally 40 times and 70 times more involved in gang assaults than actual Germans. And as you can see here it is. It's absolutely crazy. Then where's that next one? Oh, yeah. This is the one. Rape classes introduced to explain to immigrant Western women are not rape targets. The moment that you have to have classes for a group of people that you're importing for something like this is horrible. You're importing a group of people that don't know these things. What are you doing? It's like the same thing at colleges. Like, if there is a 18-year-old kid going to college, and then colleges have these mandatory sexual assault seminars for guys. If a guy is in college and doesn't know that these things are bad already, that kid shouldn't be in college. That kid should be in jail. If they don't know these things at this point, we got issues. And now they're actually introducing classes like this in Europe. Said this photo is of a young girl in a short skirt and in heels with her legs apart is being used as to teach migrants in Europe that it does not mean that she wants to have sex. Wow. Europe's got issues. Europe's got a lot of issues right now. This is why America voted for Trump. Immigration needs to come to a grinding halt, especially with crap like this going on. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And then there's this right here. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel making this announcement this week.
Clear.
I'm going to restart this real quick. But, yeah, I think that this is literally damage control because this is all kind of happened around the other day with the O'Keefe stuff coming out. Because everybody's been expecting a lot of information to drop regarding the Epstein files, and we're still waiting. So I really think that this is more damage control than it is them being like really proud of what they've done. Don't get me wrong. I think that that's great. Arresting 205 child predators this week alone is fantastic, is great. I want them to keep that up. But I honestly think that this announcement is damage control for what James O'Keefe just did.
Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators. you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America. Our children, if you...
100%. I agree with that. But again, I think this has more to do with James O'Keefe dropping a bomb on the Epstein stuff more than it has to do with them. You know, it's just damage control for them. It's like, hey, we're doing stuff. We're doing stuff in the background. Even though we haven't released those Epstein files yet. But that's just my personal opinion. I still think it's great that they're doing this. Like, and Democrats would be protecting these people. Like, they'd be protecting these illegal immigrants that have assaulted children right now. They'd be like, they need due process. Where is their due process? You don't get due process. If you're harming kids, in my personal opinion, you don't be getting due process. You be getting bullets, is what I think. So I'd just say lock them in a room with the kid's dad and let them do whatever they want to them. That's fair punishment. But yeah, it's just crazy stuff going on right now. Absolutely crazy stuff. Okay, then there's this right here. I've already shown this one once before, but I just think it's so fascinating. Joe Rogan talked about this. Joe Rogan, Kids Wish Network raised $127 million, paid to solicitors $109 million, spent percentage on direct cash. Aid to actual kids was only 2.5%. Looks like the Cancer Fund of America, less than 1%, went to the actual charity itself. That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
Look at this. They raised $127 million. They paid to solicitors $109 million. And they spent percentage on direct cash aid to the actual kids is 2.5%. 2.5%. Look at the Cancer Fund of America. Less than 1% went to the actual thing. Kids Wish Network. Look at it.
Money laundering organizations. This is what all these companies do. Like all these, and it's the same with the Democrat with Act Blue. We found out that half the Act Blue donations were like money being funneled out and coming right back to like Democratic donors and the Democratic Party itself, to certain politicians. It's like you create an organization, have people donate to it, pay yourself, and then pay a little bit of money to whatever the charity is to say that you're doing something for them. That's how this stuff works. It's absolutely evil. Absolutely evil. Let's do this next one right here. Refresh it real quick.
That same party just won again. Good job, Canada.
If they didn't have good bear hunting, I would never go there.
I do have to say, I offered to have that Pierre guy come on the podcast.
Really?
He didn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Thought it was too problematic. Or whatever. Jordan told me, I forget what he said, but they were telling him not to do it. Like his advisors were telling him not to do it. That's
yeah. Politicians. I mean, Trump did it. That's why he won the election. These Democratic politicians and most other politicians are too afraid to go on these podcasts because they will be exposed for their views. Like, because you can't lie. You can't wiggle your way out of a lie in an hour to 2 hour long conversation with somebody where they can talk about whatever you want and they can interrogate your ideas or catch you saying something that you don't mean to say. I mean, think about Gavin Newsom's little podcast that's going on where Charlie Kirk, like, absolutely talked about him and talked about how dumb. I mean, it literally exposed him. Like, said, oh, I wasn't doing these things, but he was literally, he's lied so much. And Charlie Kirk exposed it just through talking with him civilly. Democrats cannot go on these long-form debates. They can do the little interviews that are completely set up for their favor. Like, here are the questions you can ask. Can't talk about this stuff. Go. That's what they can do. They can do little short soundbite clips. But they can't do long-form content. There's a reason why the right is taking over the internet space of talk shows. I mean, and Joe Rogan wasn't right. I mean, everyone acts like Joe Rogan. The left needs their own Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was a Bernie supporter back in the 2016 era, 2015, 2016. He was on the left. he's kind of always been on the left. He's only kind of shifted his way right because I think personally just because of Elon Musk. I don't think if Elon Musk hadn't gone around, I don't think Joe Rogan would have voted for Trump, to be dead honest. I think he just does whatever Elon does because Elon's this great, smart person. He's like, oh, Elon, because he is an Elon fanboy, man. That's just my personal opinion on it. Ugh. But then there's this. And this is what, you want to know what life will be like if you let Islam take over? These are Christians that live in, I forget if it's Iraq or Afghanistan, but yeah, check this out. Iraq. So we don't want a single Christian in Iraq. We will kill
شو بدي لك بقى؟ أنا بس تعال بيتي. شنو الفائدة؟ يجوب كل شوي يجي واحد يصورنا ويروح. شنو يجي صاير مهزلة احنا مسيحيين. شنو فائدة احنا مسيحيين بالعراق إذا احنا مترزلين ببيوتنا؟
Yeah. I mean, you can read all this. I mean, if you guys are watching, read this. This is absolutely insane that how these people get treated. It's like they're second-class citizens. They can be treated however they want. And remember, you have to pay a jizya or whatever it's called in any Muslim majority country or any country that's Islamic. It's like it's a law. It's a mandatory payment for not being Muslim. It's a mandatory tax. And they can basically make fun of you, do whatever you want. I mean, the Quran allows this. It's like you will be a second-class citizen in a Muslim majority nation. It's absolutely insane. And this is what the Europe is importing. I mean, we're not too far off from it. I mean, look at freaking Ilhan Omar's district. There's a reason why the Democrats like Tim Walz, they got Tim Walz because they wanted that vote. They wanted the Islamic vote. Well, guess what? That's why they didn't choose, like, what was his name? Like Josh Shapiro or whatever it is, the governor of Pennsylvania, is because he's Jewish and he's pro-Israel. Can't do that. We'll lose all those crazy Hamas supporter voters that we have, all those protesters. Can't do that. Like, why does the left always side with evil people that want to radically change how the U.S. is? It's super strange. Yeah, and then there's this one. It said, racism in the 1950s, racism today. So it was the Klan in the 50s, and now in 2025, it's Ilhan Omar and the Islamic folks like her. It's crazy. Well, let's see here. I think we got this last one right here, if it'll let me pull it up. There we go. Oh, yeah. This was blowing up the other day, too. Is like, everyone's like, how dare Trump laugh at a meme of him being the Pope? It's like, yeah, the same people that are telling you to get upset by somebody making an AI image of Trump as the Pope are the exact same people who said, oh, you silly Christians, why did you get so mad? This isn't them making fun of your guys' religion at that whatever that France thing was. But yeah, just like, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? These are the same people who argue with you about Christian ethics are the same people using Christian ethics to keep you in your little box so that you can't argue with them. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like a lot of Christians are allowing it. That's kind of like what the woke right is like, we can't use their tactics against us. Well, if we don't use the same tactics that our enemy is using, we're going to lose. That's what a lot of people keep telling, like folks like James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson is like, we're better than them. It's like, yes, but if we lose in the end, what does it matter? Is what a lot of people will say. I mean, I agree. I don't think we should use their tactics, but at the same time, if we're in a losing side, you've got to change up your tactics, or you're just going to continue to lose. But that's really about all I've got for today. just wanted to talk about that, just kind of staying on the same like vein of like with what's going on with angry cops protecting kids and all this crazy stuff that's going on with Diddy, the Epstein files, and everything else going on in the world. I just think we're living in very, very weird times. So, but that's really all I've got for today. This is Chad with Owasso Live, and this was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. But that's really all I've got for today. So I guess I will see you all in the next one, everybody. Transition.
Let her go! What are you doing with her? What are you doing with her?
Bro, this is man's family, bro. Move. He's not. This is man's family. Move from me, bro.
Is that the same one that just walked past us, Mum?
Man's family, bro. Move.
So what are you doing in the corner with her? Are you okay? Hey, girl. Hey. Hey. I'm following you.
Look, why are you fucking stalking man, bro?
Are you okay? Do you know him?